Welcome to the Onyx Path News with me, Matthew Dawkins, here for another live showing of exciting news from your favorite RPG publishing company. I know that's a bit presumptuous on my part, but why wouldn't it be when we come at you every single week with a brand new news episode announcing new releases and upcoming books. Yeah, it's been a very exciting week. Aberrant has been continuing to do very well on Kickstarter. It's exceeded 200% funding, which is very nice. On the Onyx Path channel, just last week, we did live Q&A with one of the creative minds behind Aberrant and the Trinity Continuum in general, being Mr. Ian A. Watson, and we'll be getting back to that kind of thing very soon because there's some news on that front that I would like to share with you. What else? Well, we've also had some new releases. We had a new release last week, which I'll cover in a bit. And also a project very close to my heart, Chicago by Night, is very, very close to release now. Very close to release. So, yeah, that's a very exciting time for me. I keep using the word very, so I'm going to stop at this point. Now, if you're watching this live, I would implore you to chime in on the chat, on the live chat, so I can see who you are, see your faces. Well, maybe not your faces, see your comments. For instance, Stray Reaper just says, "Hi, Matthew," and I say, "Hi, Stray Reaper." Now, the idea that a Reaper may have strayed into our chat is always a bit disturbing. I don't particularly want to be reaped, taken away to the underworld just yet, but maybe at the end of this video I'll change my mind. James Hubbard is driving home from work, so his chatting will be spotty at best. I would suggest, James, that your chatting is none. I don't want this news broadcast to be the cause of a car collision. Rima says, "Hello, Mr. Dawkins. Will those who ordered the physical copy of Chicago by Night through Backerkit get the PDF as well? If you backed it at the level where you get the PDF and the book, then yes. If you only backed it at the level where you get the book, then no." It's simple as that. I suggest checking your Backerkit level because there were different levels that provided you with different things. Brian Outry is very happy to finally catch one of these live. Preston Bobo says hello, and I say hello, Preston. You're a common sight on these things, Preston. It's always good to see you. Phil Conquistador says hello, and the Lady Gamer says, "I'm so excited about Chicago by Night. Can't wait to share it with you guys." And I feel the same. Banda1 says, "Haha, hello." What's so funny, Banda? Other than the fact that you constantly appear here in this chat log to say hi and hello and whatnot. And I hope that that can continue because, as we know, Google Hangouts on Air is soon going to be no more. And that means I'm going to have to find another way of streaming live on YouTube. Decisions. How do I do it? Sarah Stewart says, "Hey-ho." I say, "Hey-ya." Red Moon Roleplaying says, "Hello, Matthew. Chicago by Night will be great. Can't wait." Red Moon Roleplaying, in fact, are participating right now in an actual play of Chicago by Night, which is being run by the Lady Gamer, who is in this very chat, and I'm one of the players. That's right, I'm actually going to play Vampire the Masquerade. So when that gameplay is available for broadcast, it will be going up on this channel, but most importantly, it will be going up on Red Moon Roleplaying's channel. But we like to cross-promote like that. We like to help each other. Daniel Harry Lachumi says, "Hello, your friendly Malkavian here to ask, how is your life?" My life is good, thank you. T-Bound says, "Hello there, how are you all?" Well, I'm guessing you're addressing the other people in the chat. I'm not going to speak for them. And person with name I cannot pronounce because I don't know their alphabet. I recognize the characters because you appear in every single one of these chats, but I still don't know your name. Yes, howdy, it is the unpronounceable person. There you go. And Sharai Favorable says, "I love your work." Well, that's very nice of you. What is it? Sharai. You tell me how to pronounce your first name. We'll call you Sharai for now. You love my work. I love you for loving it. See, there's a lot of love to go around. Anyway, on to business. Last week we saw an exciting new release, The Realm, in print for Exalted 3rd edition. do chime in on the chat if you're an Exalted fan. Say, I love Exalted, or words to that effect. The Realm is a very important book because I'm a big fan of campaign settings. I'm a big fan of books that describe the world in which you can play. I love chronicle hooks, plot hooks, story hooks, call them what you like. And any book that has a lot of those kinds of things is always very highly placed in my mind. One of my very first role-playing game books was the Forgotten Realms campaign setting. Forgotten Realms campaign setting is more than one, and I bought the Planescape campaign setting as well. You may be able to see various campaign setting books behind me, and Damnation City for Vampire the Requiem as well, very important for me. In Masquerade, Milwaukee by Night was my first ever city source book. So I've always loved campaign settings, and The Realm is the ultimate campaign setting book for Exalted 3rd edition. And I always think that a campaign setting book is one of those products that can ease your entry into a game line. If you're not too comfortable with Exalted, you don't really know what to do with it. Sometimes you need those building blocks around you to tell you what society is like, what culture is like, what the religion's like, how different factions interact with each other, that kind of thing. If that's your thing, The Realm is the book for you. And I think more than anything else, no disservice to the developers and the writers, but the art in this book is beautiful as well. It's got a really striking front cover. So it's linked, as always, in the description box below. Do check it out. And I say that for any Exalted book, really, any Exalted 3rd edition book, because we've spent a great deal of time writing and illustrating and laying these books out so that they're just as perfect as they can be. I do feel 3rd edition Exalted is the most complete edition of Exalted, and it will become so, I should say. Just the level of attention to detail given to each one of these books, they're written so fantastically well. Anyway, The Realm, do check it out if you haven't already. What else do we have here in the comments? Bander1 loves Exalted and The Realm is excellent. Chris Handforth says, hello, Matthew. Impronounceable name says, I love Exalted but never really got to play it. Heard some mixed reception of 3rd edition and not sure on whether to pick it up or not. Well, now's the time to try. Sharai Phaedra Wolf says, the final pronunciation was the correct. You got it. And Scott Banks says, hello. Now, we have a very important announcement for this video, and it relates to Twitch. Not Twitch as in that kind of Twitch, but Twitch as in Twitch, the video streaming. I'll probably regret doing that. The video streaming website, where a lot of people will stream their actual plays, they'll stream their video games, that kind of thing. We have a Twitch channel. Onyx Path have a Twitch channel. It's linked below, and right now I would love for you to open up the description box below and click on the link to that Twitch channel. I can wait, and I will. You just open the description box and you click on the link. That's it. Yep. Well done, well done. That's it. You got it. Now that you're there, one of you might have done that and felt really special that I was addressing you specifically. And if so, you are special. Thank you. We're going to be doing something rather exciting with Twitch in the coming weeks. This week, indeed, we have a multi-part chronicle going up there that's going to be live streamed, and it's going to be a wonderfully organized game of Aberrant. To tie in with the Kickstarter that's going on right now, we have a actual play that Travis Legg, the man behind our Twitch, is going to be streaming with a whole bunch of players, the faces of some of whom you might recognize. And the first episode, I believe, is going up tomorrow. But in order for you to not miss anything, please subscribe now. Please subscribe now. And this isn't just where we're going to be stopping. We have a lot of content planned for our Twitch channel. We're not going to be abandoning YouTube. If anything, one of the things that Onyx Path is so well known for now is how communicative we are with the fans, with the customers, with people who like our products. We like to be able to speak to the people who are kind enough to give us their money and put a bit of faith in us and our creativity. So using the blog to post written updates every week, using our Facebook, using our Twitter, using YouTube, and expanding into Twitch is natural for us. We want to have a lot of content so that if there's a game of ours that you're interested in, you will be able to find something of that. We're going to be hosting other podcasters, other actual players, if that's the term, on our Twitch channel. We're going to give them official recognition, such as it is. And if you're the kind of group that likes to run actual plays and can commit to a regularly scheduled broadcast, then you can use our Twitch channel for that. You just have to get in touch with me. And the best way to get in touch with me is go on MatthewDawkins.com. There's a contact button on there. Get in touch. We will sort out whatever you need. We will sort it out so that if it's possible for you to do it, to use our Twitch channel for your games, then please get in touch and we will see whether we can manage it. So, Twitch, it's going to be a place to go to. Go there now. Links in the description box below. Click that subscribe button. Subscribe to our channel now so you can get notified when this actual play starts, and there will be a lot of exciting content to come, I promise. Including there'll be previews, there'll be competitions for free products as well. That might have caught your interest. And you'll be getting to see all the creators of these games participating in Q&As, actual plays, and so on. If actual plays aren't your thing, that's fine. There'll also be interviews, there'll be breakdowns of these games. We're going to do a lot with Twitch. So what else do we have here in the chat log? Will there be an Exalted Monster sourcebook, says Bander1. Well, the 100 Devils Night Parade is actually ongoing. We have lots of Exalted Monsters being released on DriveThruRPG under that banner of 100 Devils. Type that into DriveThruRPG, you'll find a whole bunch. But eventually that's going to be built into one big compendium of monsters, so do keep your eyes open for that. Most interesting clans to play in Chicago by Night, says Remus. I would say, I see the Lady Gamer says La Sombra, and La Sombra is a pretty good pick. I would probably go for Malkavian, because Malkavian is the only clan I can think of in Chicago where your Primogen is probably actively trying to torment you and ultimately destroy you for his own kicks. So it gives you a challenge. Preston Bobo says, you fooled us the other day. You started a live stream of Pugmire and then didn't do anything. No, we did that to test our software. That was deliberate. Adrian Benningfield says, hello, everyone. Hello, Adrian. Good to see you here again. Adversaries of the Righteous serves as the rival manual for Exalted 3rd Edition, but it's bought in parts. That's right. Yep. Michael Amas says, hello, Matthew. Really looking forward to Geist 2nd Edition. Well, you won't have to wait for too much longer. Adrian Benningfield says, I think you do great at being evil, Matt. I was watching your Pentex videos. It's Matthew, by the way, not Matt. And they are wonderfully done. I found those videos, and AJ Pickett's videos are some of my favorites. I can't say I know who AJ Pickett is, so I can't advertise or condone him, her, they, but I'm glad you like my videos. Thank you very much. Those Pentex Guide to Werewolves are a direct tie-in to the Pentex Employee Indoctrination Handbook. It was a small release. A lot of people probably won't have been aware of it. This book here, the Pentex Employee Indoctrination Handbook, has a like a Q&A for new Pentex employees at the back, in the back, and there's some questions in it that relate to the videos because I co-wrote this book. So those books were made in concert. Those videos were made in concert with that book. So it's one of those, what would you call it, an Easter egg that some people weren't aware of. What else do we have here? Which do you prefer? Which system do you prefer? VTM or VTR? Colby Olson says. I prefer Requiem's system. Colby, that's a fair question. T-Bound says Hunt the Vigilant or Hunt the Vigil 2nd Edition would be awesome. It's coming. It's been written. It's in development, I believe, or maybe even editing. What do we have here from Joe Mariano? Hi there. Hello from Portugal. Hello there. Rich Knight, what is the status on Hunt of the Vigil 2nd Edition? Check on the Monday meeting blog post. There'll be one going up tonight. You will see the most up-to-date status of Hunt of the Vigil. Preston Bobo, you fooled us deliberately. I feel so betrayed. That's what I'm all about. I like fooling fools. As days go on, I'm getting more excited about Aberrant 2nd Edition. I gotta say, Aberrant 2nd Edition is looking brilliant. It is, of course, on Kickstarter right now and linked below. The tone rules are a great addition. Sarah Stewart says, what's the status of the Scarred Lands Creature Collection? I believe that's going to be on Kickstarter in the next couple of months too. I think it'll be Handiwork Games that are launching that Kickstarter. We're working in concert with them. Handiwork Games is John Hodgson's company. They're a brilliant crew. I may well be interviewing Johnny on the Twitch channel, in fact, or this channel, in the coming weeks, so stay tuned for that. I'm a big fan of monster manuals, as you know. Remus, any news or juicy gossip regarding Mage for V5? No. I think it's almost definite Werewolf is going to come before Mage, so let's wait for Werewolf first. Brian says, it's a great time for me as someone who dove deep into Scion and Aberrant's first editions. I'm happy to be able to support and continue the adventures. Wonderful. Manda1 says, will there be another Night Horrors for Vampire the Requiem? I think there's one coming out very, very, very soon. Sarah Stewart says, you said vigilant instead of vigil. That's because someone wrote that in the comments. I know it's Hunter the Vigil. Magically, Anna, what do you think of the negative feedback on the 5th edition of Vampire the Masquerade? I think that people prefer different editions of role-playing games, and it shouldn't dismiss other editions. Some people don't like 5th ed. Some people didn't like 5th ed D&D. Actually, that's not true. Everyone loves 5th ed D&D. But every single edition of a game has people who flock to it and people who stick with what they like. Some people don't like meta plot changes. Some people don't like rules changes. That's fine. The good thing is with Drive-Thru RPG, you can buy whatever edition of the game you like, and there's no need to get factional about it. Adrian says, AJ Pickett does D&D ecologies based around the Forgotten Realms primarily. I got the Pentex book. I'm going to read it after I finish reading Pugmire and Mao. Good choice. A good palate cleanser, I think, Pentex to follow Pugmire and Mao. Chris Handful says, Hunter was in manuscript approval and art direction last week. There you go. Adrian says, I'm happily waiting for Werewolf. It's my favourite line. Stray Reaper, any news on the other books for V5 that aren't Chicago by Night? Yes, I am currently going through Paradox's suggestions for amendments to the Chicago folios. That should be off to editing as of tomorrow. Let the Streets Run Red needs to come back from them for manuscript approval. And Cults of the Blood Gods will probably be submitted to Paradox either at the end of this week or the end of next. So there you go. That's a up-to-date broadcast on my life. D&D had 4th edition Split the Populace. So where else are we? Well, I mentioned Aberrant as on Kickstarter. Not long left to go on that. So if you like your superhero RPGs with a bit of depth and a bit of meat to them, do check that out on Kickstarter. Links below. Backerkit, as ever, Backerkit is still going, and listen to my words, because it seems whenever I say this on these live broadcasts, some people post in the chat log, I didn't know about this. So I'm going to speak to you now. I'm going to look dead in the camera right there, and I'm going to say, did you miss one of our Kickstarters? Did you? You missed one of our Kickstarters. What were you thinking? Why would you do that? What's wrong with you? Fine, you missed one of our Kickstarters. All right. Okay. Well, that doesn't mean you're suddenly cut off from getting a deluxe version of one of our books. It doesn't mean you can't suddenly get one of the prestige editions of one of our books. Listen to the words that are coming out of my mouth right now. You can still get a traditionally printed copy of one of our books that was on Kickstarter because we used Backerkit, and Backerkit allows you to back those books at the same level as you were able to when they were on Kickstarter, all the way up until the point those books are released. So if you haven't backed Dark Eras 2, Chicago by Night, Trinity Continuum, They Came From Beneath the Sea, there's a whole bunch and they're listed below, well, you can still do it. So no excuses. Click the link on Backerkit And if you want a deluxe copy of one of these games, now is the time to do it. So yeah, with that said, I can go back to being friendly. Do I have any intel about paths in the player's guide? I kind of miss my Zimitsu, says Helton Matiazzi. Well, that'll be a Modifius call, I'm afraid, Helton. I am working on the player's guide, but I'm not going to comment on paths of enlightenment just now. The Misanthrope says, can you give me an elevator pitch on the differences between Aberrant and Scion Hero, since they're coming out relatively close together? Yeah, well, they're in completely different universes. So the elevator pitch is in Scion Hero, there's a more fantastical bent. You are, after all, children of gods in a world, the world, where mythology it's a lot more real. You may be walking down the high street, and as well as seeing churches, you might see an Aztec temple. You might see a shrine to Odin on that same street. And the scions of these gods will be going around waging war in the streets, on the battlefield, in the forests, and wherever. But it's all more fantastical. All these mythological creatures exist, and they are warring at times, and of course saving people and furthering their parents' aims. And as we know, gods can be quite combative all over the world, and you can split off from the world and enter terra incognita, these gods' domains, for want of a better word. You can enter Hades, underworld, if you so wish. Many scions do. The underworld is a very common place to travel to in a lot of myths. Now, Aberrant, on the other hand, is a more, I like to consider it a more cynical view of superheroes, but I know not everyone agrees with me on that. It can range everything from street level Watchmen style all the way up to 4-color hero Justice League style. But it has the modern sensibilities of corporations, mutations, sponsorships, ultra capitalism, and that cynicism that comes with what would it really be like if you were a superhero existing today. So there's a certain amount more grit in Aberrant than there is in Scion, and you could interchange them in one respect, I guess, but the setting of Aberrant is distinct to the setting of Scion. I hope that helps. Let's see, what else do we have here in the way of questions? Oh, good Lord, I just missed a whole bunch of questions. James Hubbard, are you using Dominate? I don't know. Did you just go on Backerkit and buy a book? Notice M20 Victorian Mage coming up. Any plans on a World War II setting? No. That would be interesting, though, a World War II Victorian Mage setting. Interesting. Let me think on that. Sarah Stewart, well, it wouldn't be Victorian Mage in World War II, of course. A World War II Mage the Ascension setting is something I will contemplate. Sarah Stewart says, I was unclear. I thought it was a slip when you said Vigilance instead of Vigil because you've been reading the book. I'm one of the authors of the Scarred Lands novel Vigilance, so the slip made me happy, and thank you. And yes, Scarred Lands Vigilant, I will take the time to say, as Sarah has taken the time to come into the comments and say hi. Not everyone has enough time to read novels these days, we'll be honest. Not everyone has enough time to read anthologies of short stories, and it's sad because there's so many fantastic pieces of fiction out there, and I know not everyone has the time, but if you do, I really recommend you check out Scarred Lands Vigilant, and you can get it on Drive-Thru-RPG, and you can get it in print. And I really suggest that you do, because it's such a beautiful novel that really explains the Scarred Lands setting in wonderful sweeping ways. The characters are rich and vibrant, the action in it is dynamic, and that's such a difficult thing to convey in fiction. I find it's one of the things I struggle with as a writer. I'm very good at dialogue, I'm very good at describing events that have happened, but I'm not so good at making combat seem exciting in fiction. It's just not something I've ever been very good at, and Vigilant has it down pat. So Sarah is one of the authors of that novel. I recommend you check it out. Now, I don't have it in the description box below, but you can type it into Google or to Drive-Thru-RPG. So I will we've got a lot of questions today. So before I get on to more of these questions, let's see what else we have to talk about. Well, we've got community content, and speaking of Scarred Lands, there's some wonderful Scarred Lands content coming out right now. It seems the Slurician Vault has caught a bug because it just keeps spitting out new products of great quality, and that's wonderful. I hope that in some way some of what I've been talking about with our community content programs has been motivational there, but I know it isn't just that, because Travis Legg is a real driving force, hi Travis, behind a lot of the Slurician Vault products that are going on right now. Vengeance of the Shunned is like the mega campaign that is being produced on the Slurician Vault for Scarred Lands, and there's a couple more books of that arc that are out on the Slurician Vault right now. We have the Treasure of Magister Yama by Dan Lehman Kennedy, and we also have the Sundered Sisters by Jessica Ross. I believe they all fit in to Vengeance of the Shunned, the campaign. It's D&D 5th edition, using the Scarred Lands as a setting. Never ever feel like using a pre-written adventure is in any way a failure on you as a GM. It's something I took a long time to do myself, but now that I do it, I find that I have so much more time. I just adjust these games to make them fit my group and the characters they're playing, and you can do the exact same thing with these. We also have, completely separate to that, Magic Items of Ghelspad, which is the kind of Slurician Vault community content product I love. I love books that just introduce a long list of things, whether it's interesting characters, locations, and magical items. I think there's around 30 magical items in this book. And yeah, you could do a lot worse than check out this book by R.P. Davis. So please do look it up, especially given that it's got a remarkably low price. So with that said, I'm going back to the live chat now. Chris Handforth says, really do get Dark Heroes 2 on Backerkit if you haven't yet. It is an awesome book and tons of fun to write. Chris would know. Chris wrote on it. Michael Pierce says, what are your thoughts on video games relating to the White Wolf properties from past to upcoming? Also, which game lines do you reckon would suit a video game adaptation? I'm a big fan of Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. Who isn't? I am... Yeah, I think that's pretty much where it ends. Redemption was never my kind of game. The Hunt of the Reckoning games were never really my kind of thing. But I completely respect the people who do enjoy them. As for games that are coming up, well, I know a little bit about Bloodlines 2 because I was involved with it to a very limited degree, enough to see the plot, the characters, and the voice acting and so on. And that's that was great fun. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to seeing the finished Bloodlines 2. I know that it looks like a fantastic game from what I saw of it, and I'm sure it's going to impress a lot of people. As for other video games coming up, we know of some. We know of Coteries of New York, of course. It's a Telltale game-esque kind of thing, and I think that'll be good fun. Now, what other games do I think would make for good video games? You've got to balance it between what the market are interested in and the games that would actually make for good video games. I think Promethean the Created would be an excellent game. I think you could draw a lot of comparisons between it and Planescape Torment, but I don't see that as a bad thing. I love Planescape Torment. So yeah, I would love to see a Promethean video game. I don't think it'll ever happen, but I would love to see it. I feel like Mage would benefit more from being set in the Cold War rather than World War II, since it's so focused on conflicts based on differing worldviews. Yeah, Cold War Mage. I worked on Cold War Cthulhu for Call of Cthulhu. That was a good fun book to work on. And on, oh God, what was the name of the book that I wrote a scenario for? Probably got it somewhere. Eventually, you write for so many things. Covert Actions, yeah. So yeah, I wrote a scenario for that. That was good. I don't think you can get that anymore either. I think it's completely out of print. You can't even buy it in PDF because the company that produced it, Cubicle 7, no longer has the license to produce books using the Call of Cthulhu system from Chaosium. I think that's the... I may be wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong. Do look it up. If you can buy Cold War Cthulhu still, then I'm completely incorrect. Simon Madsen just joined. What have I missed? What is discussed? Sign up for Twitch. Use Backerkit to get any deluxe editions you may have missed on Kickstarter. And the Lady Gamer says it will be uploaded on the Onyx Path channel later. Yeah, once this video finishes, you can go back to it and watch it once it's done. Matthew, is there going to be clan books for the new Vampire Edition, says Adrian. I might check out the Aberrant line, but I'm more of a World of Darkness person. There's plenty of darkness in Aberrant, Adrian. I don't know if there'll be clan books for the new V5. And, you know, I think there's a fair justification for there not being. A lot of people love clan books, but here's an interesting insight for you. The fact is, companies have to tailor what they produce for their market. And most people know this. Companies don't produce content that no one's going to buy. And sometimes it's very difficult to see what products are likely to be bought when you are a customer. When you're a big fan of Vampire and you buy absolutely everything that comes out, you sometimes assume that everyone feels that way. But I know from previous to my time at Onyx Path that White Wolf always struggled to sell its city source books. I know that White Wolf always struggled to sell a lot of its clan books. And the reason is because if you imagine the Player's Handbook, for example, for D&D, Player's Handbook goes to everyone. Every player buys a copy of the Player's Handbook. Every GM buys a copy of the Player's Handbook, or DM, as it would be in the case of Dungeons and Dragons. Now, when it comes to the Monster Manual, the sale point is just about half quartered or so, because if you're just a player, you're probably not going to buy the Monster Manual, but you might because it's interesting. When it comes to Dungeon Master's Guide, in theory, only one person at every table buys that DMG, because only one person is running the game. Now, in a game like Dungeons and Dragons, there's going to be potentially a lot of Dungeon Masters, but keep that measurement in mind. So when you get to things like city source books only historically sold very well to big fans of the game and people who wanted to set their games in that location. If you were just passingly curious about something like Vampire, or let's say a campaign setting for D&D, so only passingly curious about the Forgotten Realms, you might well set your D&D game in your own world and not buy that campaign setting. So it's less successful as a seller than the Dungeon Master's Guide. And then you look at clan books, and clan books are a funny thing. It's a bit like having class books in Dungeons and Dragons. They might do well, they might not, because some classes are far more popular than others in D&D. So a big book of fighter classes or mage classes and various and associated, and I've got some complete book of bards and things like that. Some of them will do very well because everyone plays wizards. Loads of people play wizards. But when you have the complete book of bards, it does less well because fewer people play bards. Now, take that from a vampire perspective. And Clanbook Ventru, Clanbook Gangrel, Clanbook Tremere, they're all going to sell very, very well because those are three of the most popular clans. Clanbook Ravnos, Clanbook Asamite, as was, Clanbook Banu Hakim, I guess it would be now, and Clanbook Zimitzi, far less successful because far fewer people are going to buy them, because far fewer people are going to play them. So you see, the expense of creating a clan book with all new art and all new content just to sell to a very, very small fraction of the overall fan base is potentially not worth it. Now, I'm prepared to be proved wrong by any company, whether it's Onyx Path, Modiphius, Paradox itself, or whoever. But I don't imagine you're going to see solitary clan books coming out. You may well see some kind of clan compendium or volumes where you have 3 clans per book, like the old Libolus Sanguinus books for Dark Ages, because they offer more information. This is why in Dark Ages Empire you had Player's Guide to the High Clans, Player's Guide to the Low Clans. From a marketing standpoint, the fact that they used Player's Guide in the title meant that it appealed to more people. It doesn't look like a storyteller's book, and because it had 6 clans in each or thereabouts, it meant more people were likely to buy it to fulfill the needs of their characters. So hopefully that's been a bit insightful. If you've never considered it like that before, those are the kinds of things you have to think about when you're producing RPGs. It's basically who's going to buy them. So what else do we have? Van1 says, I read novels still, however, it's audiobook these days. I listen to a lot of audiobooks too. I will carry on doing the Scarlands Vigilant read-along on this channel as and when I can, because some people really seem to enjoy me reading them stories. You can call me MD if you like, Preston, or GG, TGG, GGMD. Is there a genuine way to suggest products? You are the second person who has worked on World of Darkness games. Phil is the first. I want a Midnight Circus 20th anniversary. That's not the most out there thing. My suggestion is you suggest it via email to Onyx Path, and also suggest it by email to Paradox. Best way to get noticed. It's something so few people imagine they think it's going to be a bother. But if you genuinely want a product, the best thing you can do is make a pitch for it. Say why you think this would be good. Let's see what else. I cannot recommend Vengeance of the Shunned enough, says Preston Bobo. The 3 adventures I purchased are fantastic. I need to review the 3rd, but they are really great. Excellent. Chaz Kellner says, hell there. Hello there. Sarah Stewart, I love Vengeance of the Shunned too. Wonderful. Bounder 1, any word on Hunt of the Reckoning V5? That will need a Hunt of the Vigil type revision. So that's another interesting question there, Bounder 1, about Hunt of the Reckoning. Well, obviously, for 5th edition, you're going to see your core game lines come first. So you'll probably see Vampire, Werewolf, Mage. Hunt of the Reckoning is a long way down the line. And one of the key issues with Hunt of the Reckoning in the 5th edition mold is 5th edition has taken things very much back down to street level, where mortals, some of them are very dangerous because they have technology on their side, but most of them are potential victims. They're stories of tragedy. And Hunt of the Reckoning was about supernatural humans, imbued. And the issue with imbued is they don't feel as weak as mortals potentially need to contrast against vampires being undead monsters. It's so it does make me wonder, will Hunt of the Reckoning see a 5th edition when it hasn't even had a second one yet? I don't know. I do tend to think Hunt of the Reckoning is a kind of capsule game at this point. It exists in its own right, and I imagine if you were to see Hunters come back in 5th edition, they'd come back in a very different form, more similar to the Hunters Hunted 2 that we released on Onyx Path for V20. Daniel Wright says, on the Monday morning news project status updates, I noticed there's a few terms that seem very similar. Can you go over the difference between editing, proofing, and red lines? Editing is when an editor reads through a book and makes all the suggested edits, whether it's to grammar, punctuation, content, or system sometimes, but developers generally keep an eye out for content and system. Good editors will find that kind of stuff too. And then you have proofing. So proofing is when a book gets to PDF stage and the developer needs to look through that PDF and try and catch out any issues so they can be adjusted before release. And red lines is actually far earlier. So writers write a first draft. They then submit those first drafts to a developer, someone like myself, and I go through all those drafts redlining. I don't actually do it like this, I type. But if you imagine when you were at school, a teacher might have put red lines under things they didn't like or they wanted built, constructed, expanded on. That's what redlining is. We go through drafts, we find things we like, we find things we don't, we find things that need elaboration, we make comments to that effect, and we send it back to the writers for final draft. So that's the difference between editing, proofing, and redlining. James Hubbard, will there be a Blood and Sorcery for Vampire the Requiem 2nd edition? Maybe. Request it. The Werewolf of the Forsaken video game, please. Oh, I'd love that, Bounder 1. Preston Bower says, I didn't know about the Sundered Sisters, but I just picked it up. Excellent. I'd like to see a World of Darkness or New World of Darkness board game, video game. Or a video card game. I still play Prince of the City occasionally for Vampire the Requiem. It's a good game. Suran says some companies do, but they're bad companies. I'm not sure which what that was in respect of. Keegan Sullivan says, oh goodness, another Path news when I'm actually online. Hello, Keegan. Ivory Knight says, Promethean video would be good, but you need good writers to make that hard-hitting human world from the naive and innocent eyes of the created. Or something Wraith-focused would be good. Michael Pearce says, that's a thing that can happen when you've been writing so many things, kind of what happened with Stephen King at some stage. We're talking about Call of Cthulhu. I'm a few minutes behind. Paladin Demo says, quick hi from work, completed painting a were-mammoth mini. That sounds very exalted. I'd like to see a Lore of the Clans type book for V5. Me too. Preston Bower says, not to mention the art on the back of Clan Books Zimitzi, making it such that you can't leave it out on your coffee table when your church group is coming over. I once had a player in my Dark Ages vampire game who I lent the Road of Sin to, and she was a Baptist. Her parents found the book in her bag, and she was forbidden from playing vampire with us again. There was a lot of nudity in the Road of Sin. Michael Pearce says, still Promethean created game does seem like a cool idea, though I imagine it would be challenging to sell in terms of units. Exactly. Simon Madsen says, aren't Lore of the Clans or the Bloodlines still relevant for V5? I would suggest so, yeah. In the time you're looking for information on your clans, it's still worth looking up Lore of the Clans and Lore of the Bloodlines. I know the systems aren't identical, but the setting is almost there. What's the point of contact when it comes to product for Paradox these days? I believe if you still go on white-wolf.com, there's still a contact email address. The Bard says, hello, Sarah. Any news on Werewolf 5th edition? You'd have to contact Paradox regarding that. But when you do suggest Onyx Path creates it. Very sad to hear Onyx Path won't be at Gen Con this year. Any reason why, says Dutin at 103. Will we be seeing anyone at the con from the team? Yeah, we're still sending people from the team there. We're not setting up a booth because, frankly, it costs a fortune and we didn't really get much out of it. Now, I know that might sound very odd. We're still running panels. So there's still a What's Up with Onyx Path panel. There's still a community content panel. There's all kinds of things we're doing. Rich Thomas will be there. Matt McElroy will be there. I believe Eddie Webb will be there too. And we are still selling lots of products there via Studio 2 and Indie Press Revolution. The only difference is we don't have to pay to do so now. And it's something we experimented with at UK Games Expo, and that went very well. We did have a booth there, but we weren't selling because you had to pay more to do it. But don't at all read into this that there's any kind of financial issue. There isn't. We are just experimenting with the way we handle conventions. And to be blunt, the cost of attending Gen Con can be split across attending 5 different conventions across the US or even abroad. That's very important because we want to be able to reach new audiences. And often at the Onyx Path booth, we'd just be seeing the same people over and over again. And although we love to see them, we need to find a wider audience. So yeah, there you go. Hopefully that makes some sense. Don't be sad that we don't have a booth there. You're still able to buy our products just like you always have been able to. Keegan Sullivan says, what kind of stories do you like telling in V20 and what kind of games do you like running in V5, since, as you mentioned, they focus on different kinds of stories? Exactly what you'd imagine, Keegan. I think V20 is better for, well, for me, I use it more for the big jihad, globe-trotting, dealing with elders, that sort of thing, whereas V5 is more street-level, grimy, human. I put it in the same category as Requiem in a lot of ways, but without the philosophical elements of the Covenants. I remember in another chat you mentioned the fate of Gratiano. Any info on current stuff on Montano? Montano appears in a form in Chicago by Night. Is Onyx Path working on Mage 5th edition, says the Bard? Nope. I don't think anyone is right now, as far as I'm aware. Paladin Demo says, Were Mammoth is only in Pangaea. James M., what is the name of the cult story you run through Red Moon Roleplaying? I am running the Summit for Red Moon Roleplaying. Fantastic group. Is Vampire Heritage for sale? Not yet. It was on Kickstarter, but I'm going to show it off again. Let's see. Vampire the Masquerade Heritage, a game not by Onyx Path. I'm now showing off on the Onyx Path news. It was great fun to work on it. Hello, says Travis. Will there be a Demon 20th anniversary? If there is, it will be in 2023 because Demon the Fallen came out in 2003. Turnaround is a damn hassle nowadays, but I suspect Werewolf 5th edition could be launched with a video game co-release. Maybe. That would be clever, wouldn't it? Travis will be at Gen Con Northers Avenue. Come give me a hug and we can talk about Scarred Lands. Rich Knight, any kind of character generation being created for these Onyx Path lines? Some rules are tricky for us newer fans. If you want to if you want to suggest we do character creation videos, just tell us which game lines you want us to use. We'll either put them on the Twitch stream, and by the way, do subscribe to our Twitch channel. It is linked below because you will be seeing new content on there first this week. Yeah. And we'll be putting stuff on YouTube too. Soren says, how's the workload for you these days? It is full tilt. It is quite late at night right now, and I'm still making videos. What else do we have? Now, I've been making this news video is probably the longest these videos have ever gone. So I will be wrapping up very, very soon, but I'm going to get through the last of these questions. The Bard says, what are you working on now? Tomorrow I will be working on Chicago Folios to get it to editing and Cults of the Blood Gods. Pavel Novicki says, will you create more of the Gentleman's Guide 2 videos in the possible future? They were great to experience the feel of each game. Probably, yeah. I just need to decide on which game. I've done a Gentleman's Sea Captain's Guide for They Came From Beneath the Sea. I'm contemplating doing a Pantheon's Guide for Scion as well. Is Hunter the Vigil going to be out this month? I heard it was close to release. You'll see it on Kickstarter first, K99999. Daniel Wright says, ooh, Sarah Stewart, I don't know how much we count as Onyx Path people, but Fran and I are going to try our best to get to Gen Con next year. Fantastic, Sarah. Dutin says, could you do a demo on how to build a character for Scion 2nd edition? I'm really struggling with the new story path system. Yes, I already have, Dutin. If you missed this, look up the Onyx Path cast. The Onyx Path cast on Google. There is a Scion character creation, one of those episodes where Dixie, Eddie, and myself go through character creation. Hopefully that will help. Is the new edition of Aberrant being driven by the superhero trend in current society, says Adrian? No, I wouldn't say so. Certainly we didn't decide to release it based on the Marvel Cinematic Universe being a thing. It's just a part of the Trinity continuum. You'll certainly see some similarities, but I think there's a little more, what would I call it? I'll go back to cynicism in Aberrant than there is in the Marvel movies right now. Bander is macho waiting for Book of the Fallen. So am I. Why does Hunter not get a Kickstarter? Hunter the Vigil will get a Kickstarter. Michael says, is there an idea of when Deviant the Renegades will release, and is there any chance we'll see an actual play? I think you will see it on Kickstarter very, very soon, and I would be surprised if there isn't some kind of actual play to promote it. I backed your book on Kickstarter. The LA by Night will be... I backed your book on Kickstarter. The LA by Night will my name be in the book. I assume you mean Chicago by Night, the Bard. And yeah, your name should be. If it says it on Kickstarter that we're adding backer names to the book, if it says it on there, then yeah. Ivory Knight says, shifting from Vampire and the like, Scion 2nd edition, any bit of world lore or any period settings like a World War II or even like colonial era. I would love to see some historic eras for Scion 2nd edition. It's a bit early in the game yet. We're still releasing the core books. But yeah, stay tuned on that. Pantheon's Guide, holy crap, that'll be awesome. Well, that seems like support. How about a story path combat tutorial? I think we could arrange that, definitely. Ivory Knight, hell yeah, Pantheons, itching to make a Scion band as a nemesis against my current group and building them up, digging the idea. Travis says, I have a feeling you'll be seeing Scion in action very soon. Make sure you follow the Twitch channel. Listen to Travis, for he is wise. With that said, and notwithstanding, it's very late. So I'm going to wrap up this news now after answering 3 more questions. And while I wait for those questions to come in, I'm going to point you again. Twitch channel linked below. Click on it, subscribe to it. Please listen to what I'm saying, do what I say, because we're going to be using this Twitch channel for some very exciting purposes indeed. Also, Aberrant is on Kickstarter. Please give it a look. Even if you only back it for $1, you will get access to the full manuscript by the time the Kickstarter is over. That is a very, very good, well spent dollar if you do that. And also The Realm for Exalted 3rd Edition. It came out last week. If you want an exciting fantasy campaign setting, it's an excellent book to pick up. So what else do we have here? We've got a few more questions. Well, Bander wants us Cavaliers of Mars is excellent, and it is. Preston Bobo asks, what is the next Kickstarter? You will find out if you read the Monday meeting notes, but I know what it is. I've mentioned it once in this video. Brian Outry says, you, Eddie, and Dixie planning to continue that Scion adventure path, or actual play, I should say, adventure path. I see AP. I think we might, if there's enough demand for it. Blood Gods, how about a Hecata fact? Okay, all right, here's the last one then. All right, last answer. A fact regarding the Hecata. So for anyone who's unaware, the Hecata are the clan of death in Vampire the Masquerade now. That might come as a surprise to some of you. Don't worry, the Giovanni are still around. So are the Cappadocians. So are the Harbingers. So are the Samedi. So are the Nakaraha. So are the Lamia. In fact, if you take them as a big clump, they are the clan of death, because death has many faces. Now, I think the fact I will give you is a decision some members of the clan came to regarding the Endless Night. Now, while some Giovanni are still pursuing the Endless Night of old, tear down the shroud, let the wraiths take over, and we will be masters of all, others have come to a different conclusion. And that is that they're joining all these faces of death, old death, decayed death, death by ruin, death by massacre, new death. All these different clans, all these different bloodlines coming together. They are the Endless Night. This clan is the Endless Night. By working together, they will ascend to whatever it is that their destiny will be. And it's only now that the clan of death is coming together to form this Endless Night clan. That is the Hecata. That's a bit nebulous. I'll give you one more fact. One more fact regarding the Hecata. Augustus Giovanni is, I think missing is generous. Presumed destroyed is a fairer thing to say. Why are the Cappadocians happy to work with the Giovanni? Why are the Harbingers happy to work with the Giovanni? Why are the Samedi finally throwing in? Don't take it for granted that every single one of these bloodlines is working together quite happily, copacetically, and that everyone's sharing everything. They're not. It's just the world 2019 is incredibly hostile to all vampires, and when you're all a bunch of freaky fucking necromancers, it's often best to stick to your own. So, with that said, oh, and as someone says, I believe that Giovanni got hit hard by the Second Inquisition. Don't believe everything the Giovanni tell you. They are telling people that, but do you think they're telling you the truth? So, I will now be departing, so goodbye.